The worst thing about this kit is that I now want more. It might not be a master grade, but the Full Mechanics Gundam Ariel does not disappoint in the looks department. Because on the surface, everything is about as master grade as you can get. We've got sharp details, no seam lines, undergated parts, and the absolutely beautiful Gund arm system. Each part of it consists of a smoky, translucent piece of plastic with metallic red parts underneath. And the combination perfectly replicates the real thing, and it is a sight to behold. While I was building the rest, I just couldn't take my eyes off the shell unit, in the same way that the mechanics of a perfect grade would mesmerize me. So the first impressions of this kit that was provided to me by Hubbling Japan, links of your own down below, were extremely well. And the rest was also up to snuff. We get no color correcting stickers, and other than the panel lining, and I think this little part of the feet, there is no need for painting whatsoever. That is, unless you want the Gund arm system deactive, for some reason, because there's no parts or stickers for that, so you will need some black paint if you want to go that route. But what we do get are a lot of marking stickers, including ones to signify that this machine either belongs to a standard Astakasia student or the holder. And thanks to all of that, even straight out of the box, we're getting a model kit that doesn't just equal master grades in terms of visual flair, but I would say even exceeds a lot of them. With even minimal effort, this thing can easily become not just a flagship of your Witch from Mercury collection, but even your entire Gundam collection. On to the weapons and accessories then, which, while they're still good, they're of course not quite as impressive as the shell unit. First up, the weapons already on the mobile suit. We have the beam Vulcan guns on the head and the two beam sabers on the backpack. I do really appreciate the added detail that the beam sabers can now move, just like they do in the anime, but unfortunately, unlike the anime, this kit continues the trend of giving the standard Ariel blue beam effect parts, whereas the anime counterpart uses green beam effect parts. And this is also still the case for the beam rifle, where we get this really nice, long and detailed beam effect part, but it is the wrong color. And if you don't want to use it, you can simply put on this little connector piece and store it on the backpack or the hips. You're not supposed to do this, but you can. And then the final weapon that it comes with is the escutcheon. You can either put it on the left or the right arm, as the manual tells you to do, or you can store it on the backpack or the thighs, because you can. But of course, the big feature of the shield is its ability to separate into Gund bits, which you can then either hook up to the separately sold Witch from Mercury weapon display base, or you can attach them to the Ariel itself for increased performance and to turn her into the Ariel bit-on form. And other than the lack of a full inner frame or opening cockpit, this is also where we get a piece that reminds us that we're not dealing with a master grade. Just like the high grade, once you've taken the shield apart, we are still stuck with this leftover piece. But the shield has one final trick up its sleeve. It's got extra joints to allow the lower halves to split apart, allowing you to use the shield like a giant claw. And our final accessories then are an action-based connector, which connects to the crotch after you remove this piece, 2 connector pieces for the gun bits, and 6 hand parts. 2 closed fist parts, 2 open fist parts for holding on to the beam sabers, 1 right trigger finger hand for the beam rifle, and 1 open left hand. And now, let's dive into the articulation, which again is really good. The head is on a ball joint and hinge combo for some really good forwards and backward and also rotation. Just be careful that you don't collide the V-fins with the beam sabers, but fortunately, like I said before, the beam sabers now also go forwards and backwards. So let's put them to the back and then have a look at the shoulders, because these things are really well articulated. We've got a bunch of hinge joints to completely allow them to go out to give the aerial some very nicely articulated options. They can go out all the way like that, and then we also have some really good forwards and backwards movement. Shoulder armor can go up, this little piece moves as well, the arms rotate around all the way, and then for the elbows we get a really cool feature. In normal mode, they'll go up about that far, which is a little over 90 degrees, but you can also rotate them around to get a double joint, allowing it to go up all the way like that. Then the hands are on ball joints, will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. And the same goes for the thumb. And then something you might have noticed while I was moving my aerial around is that the torso is a little bit wobbly, and that is because its articulation is a real double-edged sword. On the one hand, it has some awesome articulation going on with a ball joint and hinge at the top, another ball joint in the middle, and then a hinge at the bottom. And it's even got armor that moves alongside it. This piece goes up and down, and then this piece goes forwards and backwards. And then we've also got some rotation going on and side-to-side movement. But yeah, at the same time, there's no denying that this is significantly looser than it should be. So be careful when posing it, or consider strengthening those joints a little bit. Then we get to the side skirts, which can go up and down, but not for the reason you might be expecting, because the outwards movement goes about that far and does not need the side skirts whatsoever. The forwards movement, however, is where the side skirts do come in handy. Then we also have some very nice backwards movement, and both the forwards and the backwards movement is hindered by the thickness of the aerial's thighs. And then the front skirts are also in ball joints, but they don't really do a whole lot. Like, they move around, but as you just saw, the legs can move fine without even touching them. And another thing that you don't really need to touch is this sliding joint. The manual tells you that the forward position is the standard position, and personally, I didn't really notice any improvements in articulation by sliding it backwards, so just leaving it forward seems to be the best option. Then the legs will rotate around a little bit like that, bend at the knee on two joints, and we've got some really nice armor separation going on there. And then the feet have some nice forwards, backwards, sideways, and rotation going on, as well as a double jointed toe. That's not something that we see a lot even in master grades. And then the ankle armor is on its own little ball joint. And again, the full mechanics aerial shows us that it is definitely on par with the master grades. Bandai really did an amazing job getting the most out of it, but unfortunately we do have that weak chest joint. So no matter how good the articulation is, it might not be best to move it around too much, or at least try to strengthen that joint a little bit. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? Yes. The full mechanics aerial is a sight to behold in absolutely every regard. The detailing is sharp, it comes with a nice array of accessories, it's got some really good proportions, and thanks to how Bandai made the Gundam system, it also feels much more expensive than it actually is. It looked great in the promotional images, and it looks just as great, if not even better, in real life. Like I said in the beginning, this kit doesn't just make for a good flagship kit for your Witch from Mercury collection, but maybe even your entire Gunpla collection if you're just starting out. So then for some comparisons, first up, here it is next to the high-grade Ariel and the high-grade Ariel rebuild, and just look at how different these kits feel. Again, like I said in the beginning, I cannot wait for more of these, and I think the rebuild would also look awesome as a full mechanics. But while I think that's going to be the next one, I would personally love to see the Lafrith or the Lafrith Ur as a full mechanics. Or, well, the Lafrith pre-production type, but I'm still waiting for the high grade on that one, so first things first. Next up then, here she is next to the Figurized Suletta and Mirine, then a fantastic Master Grade to Gundam Mark II and the RE100 Gundam Mark III, and then finally we have the standard sized high-grade Gym Custom and the usually bulky high-grade Zaku 3. Don't worry, next time we're reviewing another high-grade. And that has been all for this review of this almost Master Grade Ariel. Again, links to get your own down below. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.